I never thought my mom's love life would end up dictating the hardest year of my entire school career, but that's exactly what happened, and even now I still don't know if I did the right thing. Imagine being 16, barely holding yourself together with normal teenage chaos, and suddenly you find out your academic performance has the power to decide whether your mom ends up with the man she has secretly been hoping for. Would you sacrifice your mental health, your social life, and every free minute you had just so your mom could have a chance at romance and happiness again? Or would you say no and risk breaking her heart? Because that's the insane choice I had to make, and I still don't know whether I was wrong for going along with it. It all started on the first day of junior year, when I walked into English class and saw a new face at the front of the room. Mr. Turner. He didn't look like a teacher you'd expect in a public high school. Late 30s, fit, the kind of beard that looked accidentally perfect, a voice that could make poetry sound like a movie trailer, and this calm, relaxed confidence that made the first 5 minutes of class feel like one of those inspirational teacher movies. The kind where the students transform and everyone's lives are changed forever. Of course, I wasn't thinking about any of that in the moment. I was mostly tired, slightly unprepared, and wishing summer hadn't ended. But by the end of the first class, I could feel he was different. He called everybody by name within half an hour, made eye contact that made you feel like he was genuinely listening, and taught like everything mattered. I wasn't used to that. Most teachers were on autopilot, doing what they had to do before the final bell, but Mr. Turner cared. That afternoon he called me up before I left. Not in a scary way. Just a quiet, casual, "Hey, wait a second." I froze, already imagining I had messed up something on day one. Instead he smiled and said he had read my summer writing placement test. He told me I had talent, natural flow, strong voice, and that he hoped I'd push myself this year. No teacher had ever spoken to me that way before. I left feeling strangely motivated. I got home, opened the door, and heard my mom cooking in the kitchen. I dropped my backpack and walked in, telling her I had a new English teacher. When I said his name was Mr. Turner, she paused mid-chop, turned, and asked, "Wait. Matthew Turner?" I didn't know how to respond. She looked like she'd seen a ghost. She explained that years ago, before I was born, she had dated someone with that exact name for a little while. It wasn't some epic romance, but she always wondered what might have happened if life had gone differently. She tried to laugh it off, but the blush on her cheeks told another story. I joked that maybe it wasn't the same guy, but she insisted the name, and the age sounded too perfect to be coincidence. The next day at school I casually looked at the plaque outside his classroom, and there it was, Matthew Turner. Same one. When I told her after school, she looked both excited and terrified. I didn't think anything would happen from it. But I was wrong. Oh, I was very, very wrong. A week later, after school, Mr. Turner asked if my mom was Michelle, and when I said yes, he smiled the kind of smile people only have when they're remembering something good. He told me they dated briefly, that she was one of the most genuine people he'd ever met. I didn't think much of it until that evening, when my mom came into my room and sat down on my bed. She looked nervous, the kind of nervous parents get when they're about to ask something they know might cross a line. She told me she and Mr. Turner had talked briefly after school, and then she hit me with the sentence that flipped my entire life upside down. He said, she whispered, that if you can get straight A's in his class for the year, he'll take me out on a date. I stared at her like she was joking. She wasn't. She tried to make it sound funny, playful, like a lighthearted thing, but I could see beneath the joke. My mom had been single a long time. After my dad left, she buried herself in work, parenting, survival, and exhaustion. She never dated, never put herself first, and she had suffered quietly because of it. And now, suddenly, this was like fate dangling a second chance in front of her. She wanted it. Badly. And she was trying not to beg me to want it for her too. At first I laughed it off. But later that night, listening to her hum while doing dishes, something broke my heart. She deserved happiness. She deserved someone who looked at her the way she looked at him when she remembered him. So I told her I'd try. I said it casually, but I meant it with everything in me. What I didn't realize was that promising to get straight A's in Mr. Turner's class would set off a chain reaction affecting every other part of my life. I didn't want him to think I was asking for special treatment. I didn't want my mom to feel desperate. And I didn't want anyone at school to know. So I decided the grades would have to be earned the hard way. That meant late nights, endless rewrites, pulling books off shelves that I never would have touched before. At first it felt almost noble, like I was working for something meaningful. Mr. Turner was a tough teacher. He didn't hand out A's easily, even to students he liked. My first essay came back as a B-. My mom saw the grade and didn't say anything, but I could see the hopeful glow in her eyes flicker. That B- felt like failure. I worked harder. I stopped playing video games for a while. I started studying before school. I went to the library instead of hanging out with friends. People started noticing. My best friend accused me of acting weird. The group at lunch said I was disappearing on them. I shrugged it off, telling them I just wanted good grades for college. But my brain was running on a single loop: get the A, get the A, get the A. The second essay came back as an A-. Better, but still short of perfect. The third time, I stayed up until 3 a.m. rewriting one paragraph 7 different ways until it felt perfect. I turned it in exhausted, barely functioning. When I got it back with a clean, perfect A at the top, I actually felt tears sting my eyes. Mr. Turner gave me an approving nod that nobody else in the room understood. I didn't know whether to feel proud or manipulated or both. At home my mom hugged me, told me she was proud, and I saw that quiet happiness that parents get when they feel seen, like they matter. That moment alone made the sleepless nights feel worth it. But then everything escalated. Getting an A was no longer enough. I had to keep getting A's. I had built a standard and now I was trapped inside it. Every assignment felt like a final exam. My free time kept shrinking. I stopped going to parties. Friends stopped inviting me. I told myself I didn't care. I just had to finish the year. Mr. Turner started checking in with me more, asking how I was doing, complimenting my academic growth. Part of me wondered if he realized the weight all of this carried. I definitely didn't tell him. I didn't want to pressure him, or make things weird. I wanted the results to feel real. If they went on a date, I wanted it to be because the grade was earned, not gifted. Halfway through the year something unexpected happened. Mr. Turner started coming to parent-teacher nights early just in case my mom showed up. She didn't. She worked late most nights and couldn't get time off. When he asked if she was coming next time, something softened in his voice. I could see he really wanted to see her again. But then the pressure doubled. Because now I wasn't just doing this for my mom. I was doing it for him too. And that was when I hit the wall. I was mentally fried, emotionally drained, running on caffeine and stress. One night, after failing to rewrite a paragraph to perfection, I slammed my pen down and just broke. Tears, frustration, everything pouring out. My mom heard, came in, and I finally told her the truth. I told her how hard this was, how scared I was of letting her down, how afraid I was that a bad grade would ruin her chance at something she deserved. She froze, then hugged me so tightly I could barely breathe. She told me she had never wanted me to push myself like that. She said she would rather stay single forever than see me killing myself over something like this. But I had gone too far to stop. So that's the situation I was in. I had teachers thinking I was turning into a prodigy, friends thinking I'd abandoned them, and 2 adults unknowingly hoping I could play Cupid using homework and literary analysis. And before I tell you what happened next, I want you to pause for a second and ask yourself honestly, what would you have done in my shoes? Would you keep pushing just to make 2 people happy, or would you step back and risk breaking one or both of their hearts? The second half of the year became even more intense. Mr. Turner started giving harder assignments. Not just to me, but to everyone. He said the class was doing so well he wanted to challenge us more. People groaned. I panicked. Utterly A-level essays required deeper research, more complex arguments, and stronger evidence. I was spending hours after school in the library, to the point the librarian started jokingly saving me a seat. My social life basically ceased to exist. My phone buzzed with messages I didn't respond to. Group chats dried up. At one point my best friend told me he missed me. I didn't know what to say, because saying, "Sorry, I'm helping my mom's secret second-chance romance by grinding for academic perfection," sounded insane. My grades remained solid, but the mental load was crushing me. I stopped sleeping properly. My mom would wake up at 2 a.m. and find me still doing rewrites, or reading commentary on metaphor usage in Victorian literature. She'd beg me to take a break, but I kept going. Then came the project that almost destroyed me. A 15-page literary analysis, a quarter of our grade. Everyone complained, but I felt physically sick when I saw the assignment sheet. I spent 2 weeks outlining, researching, writing, revising, polishing. When I finally turned it in, I felt empty, like I had poured the last drop of energy I had left into it. The week waiting for the grades was pure torture. I couldn't focus on anything else. When Mr. Turner walked in with a sealed stack of papers, I swear my heart was beating louder than the AC system. He handed mine to me face down. I turned it over slowly. A single, crisp, red letter, A. My vision blurred and I blinked rapidly so nobody would see. That afternoon he asked me to stay behind. He smiled and said it was one of the strongest papers he'd read in years. Then he asked how my mom was doing. I told him she was good. He told me, softly, that he missed her, even after all these years. I left the classroom feeling completely torn apart. Near finals week, I finally crashed. I got sick. Stress, exhaustion, lack of sleep, it all hit at once. Fever, coughing, dizziness, the whole thing. My mom forced me to stay home for 3 days. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, thinking, what was I doing? Why had I turned school into emotional ransom? Why had I convinced myself the world would fall apart if I didn't keep up this insane pace? My mom came into my room on the second night, sat on the floor beside my bed, and said something I'll never forget. She told me she didn't care if she never dated again. That this whole thing had gotten too big, too heavy, and she wished she had never told me about the deal. She said she realized she had burdened me without meaning to. But instead of making me feel better, I felt guilty. She didn't pressure me. I pressured myself. I had carried the weight like a backpack full of bricks that nobody asked me to pick up. And the worst part was, we were almost at the finish line. 1 grading period left. I decided I wasn't going to quit now. I finished the year strong. Every essay, every assignment, every grade came back with an A. When the final report card came in the mail, I held it in my hands knowing exactly what it meant. My mom stared at the straight line of A's, then looked at me with a complicated blend of pride, guilt, and disbelief. She told me she was proud of me no matter what, that the outcome didn't matter, but I could see the part of her that was glowing because this meant something she had almost given up on might finally happen. She didn't call him right away. She held the envelope in her lap, staring at it for a long time, silently debating whether she should let this turn into anything. She finally asked me, gently, "Are you okay with me calling him?" I told her yes. She picked up the phone with shaking hands and dialed the number from the school directory. They talked for over an hour. I sat in my room pretending to do homework, listening to her laugh in a way I hadn't heard in years. Soft, genuine, hopeful. When she finally hung up, she walked into my room, sat down next to me, and said they were going out for coffee that weekend. She looked happier than I'd seen her in a decade. And in that moment, every late night, every headache, every lost hour of sleep felt justified. The date went well. Then another. Then another. Eventually they started actually dating. I watched my mom bloom again, this time slowly and steadily. Not giggly teenage infatuation, but the calm joy of someone who was finally being treated kindly again. Mr. Turner kept things completely professional at school. No special treatment, no weird behavior, nothing inappropriate. He actually went out of his way to make sure nobody thought anything strange was happening. When the year ended, he announced he was transferring to a different school in the district. He told me privately that he didn't want anyone to feel conflict of interest with him dating a student's mom. He said he wanted everything to be transparent and respectable. That impressed me more than anything. Summer came, and for once the stress lifted. My mom and Mr. Turner continued seeing each other. They took things slow. Sometimes he'd come over for dinner after school, and we'd talk like normal adults and a teenager who was finally allowed to relax again. Even now, I don't know where their future will lead. Maybe they'll stay together. Maybe life will take them in different directions. But what I do know is that seeing my mom happy made everything I went through feel less like martyrdom and more like a strange, exhausting, emotional gift I could give her when she needed it. So here I am, looking back, still unsure whether I was right or wrong. Was it crazy to push myself that hard for someone else's happiness? Did I sacrifice too much? Or is that what love looks like sometimes, doing something ridiculously hard just because you can't stand to see someone you care about hurt anymore? I'm still not sure. But if you've made it to the end of this mess, thank you for listening. Like this video if you were on my side, subscribe for more stories like this, and let me know in the comments whether you think I made the right choice, or you would have taken a different path. I'll see you all in the next story.